skips ahead. Got a good race in store for us tonight. Championship deciding round, the finale of season number 3. What a season it's been. It's been a short season, but it's been a good one at that. Just waiting for my interload. We can get the thumbnail, the absolutely amazing thumbnail created by the one and only Mr. Pals. And now we can get the link sorted into the Discord. And that'll be absolutely dandy. Yeah, not the biggest grid. Again, tonight we got a couple of people, I think, subbing in. But nonetheless, it only takes 2 to tango. So as long as we got a good race, I'm sure that's more than enough. And I can plunk it in here. Awesome sauce. We already got one person in. Pleasure to have you, as always. Drivers, not at all bad. Who have we got in already? Got Max Barwick. Hello, best of luck tonight. Yeah, looking forward to 2 stellar races, must be said. We got 2 maxes in now. It's double trouble. He's exciting for Bahrain, but not keen on England. Love it. Starry, love it. Yeah, I can't wait for both, to be honest. Both are incredible racing tracks, and Bahrain Short is going to be an interesting one, to say the least. Breeder of absolutely incredible racing in the past. Same with Silverstone. So we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, shouldn't be too long now. Just need to make sure. Yeah, 11 drivers so far on the grid. Should be pretty good. Good racing. We got obviously the main protagonists. We've got Davila, Palfs, Tier, Ted, Vardy, quite a few people who could be pretty interesting in terms of the racing. Shouldn't be too much longer now, ladies and gents. Do I have any trophies? I don't have any trophies. That's a bit sad. This is an interesting one. Let's have a look at my stats. Online. 62 wins, 152 podium finishes. Lewis Hamilton, who? 72 poles, 3,000 points. Jeez. Finishes in the top 50%. Honestly, actually amazing. Really am. Top-notch quality driver, me, you know. Ranked specifically, 22 wins. I don't play ranked often, to be fair. That's my excuse. Unranked, 40 wins. Oh, career, I got one career with flashback issues. 491 flashbacks. Oof. Interesting set of stats that. We got in. Did you like go through all the streams and look for specific stats? Because surely that would just taken ages. Jeez. Not too sure what we are waiting on. Shouldn't be too long now as we approach 5:45 here in the lovely UK. Now starting at 2 ready up, I think, as we go from 5:15. That's true, that's true. Still getting me watch time though, so I do appreciate it very much. We are starting at 2 ready up, so it is that time once again. It's been a rather short season here for Season 3, but a good one nonetheless. Seeing drivers such as Paus take their maiden wins, it's been the final stretch before the new game in a few weeks' time. Regardless, it's been a season full of exciting, exhilarating and absolutely astonishing racing, and with the finale tonight, I can't wait for more, not only around Silverstone and the Bahrain short circuit, but in the countless races and seasons to follow. We have four drivers aiming for that Drivers' Championship crown tonight. Vardy heads the table, looking for his long-awaited championship victory after 2 seasons in the shadows. He sits on 111 points. Scott is going to want to put the pressure on and give his fans something to cheer for. He sits on 110. Paus, and what a story this would be. A midfielder at best in Season 1, the podiums of Season 2, and potentially the championship victory of Season 3. He sits on 109, and with Tyr, the outside protagonist of tonight, 99 points and a dream to his name. It's tantalisingly close tonight. Never say never in motorsport. I certainly cannot wait. And well, we've got Silverstone and Bahrain short awaiting us tonight. Should not be too bad at all. And no, I'm not playing CSGO. Although hopefully it's nothing like CSGO. But yeah, fingers crossed. We head in for our one-shot qualifying. Of course, that is the usual procedure. One shot, one chance to put in that qualifying lap. Just adds to the mystery, the pressure on the drivers to perform well, and hopefully we see very little in the way of disqualifications. Shouldn't be too harsh around Silverstone. Of course, though, it is pretty difficult when it comes to in the race, of course, especially through maggots and Beckett. That is something to be Very careful for. We will go on board with championship leader Vardy as he heads towards turn 1, looking for that 50. That's where you want to turn in. Very hard to pick your point for Abby, but you want to claver that curb through turn 2. Very nicely done there, braking just at the start of that curb down to 3rd gear. Let the car roll through. Really got to utilize the trail braking here, and again through the loop you just got to trail brake, hope that the car doesn't lock up. Really scruffy first sector for the 2 Red Bulls. They're down in P10 and 11 at the moment. It's Matt MX who heads the way ahead of Palps now as Vardy comes towards Brooklands, but he's jumped all the way to 1st place. Purple to the first sector, really hooking up Brooklands well, and then into Luffield. Got to keep it tight, let the car roll through, and then get a good exit through Woodcote and on the run towards Cobbs. Really just flat out now all the way up here. Use this curb, open up the angle of Cobbs, completely flat out, but Vardy's completely messed that up. He has to downshift. That's going to mess up his lap completely. MX has retired from the session. A bit of a spin potentially through Cobbs, and now through the beautiful Magnus and Beckett's flat, lift, downshift, and then through Chapel, just a lift and a downshift. DRS open for Vardy as he heads down this back Wellington straight and towards Stowe. It's not been the best middle sector, as at the moment it's Aces on provisional pole ahead of Palps and Vardy as we head in to the final sector. Stowe, absolutely amazing corner now as they head towards Club. It's so incredibly close. Vardy trying his best through Club, 2nd gear, roll it through, build up the traction as you go through the corner. 4th at the moment. Who's going to take pole for the first of 2 races tonight? It's 25-2 for Aces versus Kings. 4/10 clear of Palps in P2. What a qualifying that was. Very, very close, and it was not decided until the death of it there in the final sector. And let's see how they line up for the first race tonight. It's Aces versus Kings who takes his maiden pole position for Season 3. Palps lines up on the front row alongside Davila in P3 with Vardy completing the top 4. Ted there, his Red Bull teammate in P5 with Scott in P6. Tier, the 3rd place man in the championship, the last of the people to set a clean lap with Max, S-Man, Kington and MX all not setting a time. But good news for Palps then, he's got his teammate in front of his championship rivals, going to try and make a bit of a mobile chicane in their way as Palps heads the way. He's 2 points off the championship lead, needs a little bit more, just needs to get in front of Aces, get in front, and I'm sure Ghost is going to update me throughout the race on how the standings are looking. Not entirely sure when it comes to the Constructors' Championship. All I know for sure is that I believe Red Bull have indeed won it for the 2nd season in a row, I believe. If that is the case, very doom and gloom over the skies of Silverstone. What can you expect? It is the lovely British weather that always greets us, but should be pretty dry throughout. Only light cloud cover. As we build up, this is championship pressure now. Ferrari 193, Red Bull 190. So even in that front, it's very close. And with both Ferraris in front of both Red Bulls, could be looking at pretty good. Of course, if I'm not mistaken, 1 point between each position on the standing. So Red Bull are going to need something special. They're going to need Ferrari to go backwards. As we do go green for the formation lap. 13 laps of Silverstone await us in front. We got Aces heading the charge, sort of an anomaly when it comes to the championship fight. He's right up there and going to be a bit of a headache for the championship protagonist, but he's going to drive his own race. I'm sure he's going to want to go for that win. But Palps, Davila, Vardy predicted pit stop strategy, soft to medium or soft to hard. I'm definitely going to go for the favoured soft to medium strategy. You do not want to be using hards unless you absolutely have to in these 25% races that we've got in store for us. 11 drivers on the grid, 11 drivers chasing that race victory. Davila is definitely going to be doing his teammates some favours here. Try and back up Vardy into Ted, the reigning champion, of course, is going to try and help out his teammate in securing his first title tonight. Vardy, of course, 2-time runner-up, never yet to win a championship in the Sprint Series. He's going to be looking to change that tonight. Has won both Constructors' Championship, looking to go for the 3rd Constructors' Championship, but has never sealed the crown himself. With Ted out of the running, Vardy could be looking strong to do so. Scott as well, only 1 point off the championship lead, is going to want to make a Pretty good impression here. In front of the home fans as well. In the Brackley-based Mercedes team. Going to want to do him proud. Here, outside shot, sits on 99 points. He's going to need a pretty awkward start for our front runners. And maybe a miracle, but never say never in motorsport, because anything can certainly happen at any point in time. As they find themselves lining up now. Adrenaline is going to be pumping. That's going to be racing. Aces versus Kings. Ghost, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe Aces has ever won a race in the Sprint Championship before. He's going to be looking to go for the first. Palf's looking for number 2. Or actually number 3. He won in Spain after penalties were applied. Palf's looking for number 3. Davila in P3. Going to just be, I'm sure he's going to be there to help his teammate out. Good friends both, Palf's and Davila. Nonetheless, 13 laps await us in front for the first of 2 races tonight. The championship finale. Championship deciding rounds here. They're revving up the cars. We go to 5 red lights. The British Grand Prix is underway in racing. It's a pretty good start from Palf's, trying to get the power down in front of the Renault, but he's just going to have to tuck in Vardy in the background there. Going to send it up the inside of the Ferrari, his main championship protagonist there, as Scott doesn't really get the best of starts. Vardy already up into P3, looking for P2, but doesn't quite manage to seal the move. At the moment, it's aces from Palf's, from Vardy. Davila in P4, Ted in P5. Scott trying to get his way up. Around the outside he goes of Ted, trying to make up positions early on and chase after his championship rival as they go side by side down the hanger straight. Here he is. He's got the move done. Has he coming into Brooklyn's? Not really much of a braking zone, but Ted sends it up the inside. Goes in a little bit too deep. Has to bring the car back to the left-hand side to open up Luffield. The McLaren trying to follow him through on those medium tyres. Ted really in trouble here, but the Red Bull just going to have to settle in for P6 there and live to fight another day. But at the moment, Ace is still looking strong at the front. The AlphaTauri under pressure from MX behind as they all funnel their way through Copse for the first time. Paus on the back of Aces though, putting that pressure on. He knows he's in a good position for the championship. He knows he needs to get in front to take the lead of the championship. Vardy though, he's not going to make it easy for him. He's going to be pushing, using that pace. He is very quick around Silverstone. And Ace is under pressure. Palv's looking to the outside of Stowe. Not quite close enough on this occasion to get it done. MX in front of Max now in to P8, but that's not what we're interested in at the moment. Davila trying to help out Palv's here and get in front of Vardy, but he's not doing enough. Scott already a 3-second time penalty. That is definitely not the best way to kick off tonight as Aces leads at lap 1. Bit of a timing glitch as is to be expected with F1 as in recent times, but still Aces leads the way. Do not let the tower deceive you. Aces won twice in season 2, so he, like Paus, is chasing after that third victory. Can he seal it off? It's going to be one or the other, maybe even Vardy. Could be anyone at this rate. So early doors, cannot tell. Purple to the first sector goes Vardy. He is chasing after these two and is ready to pounce as soon as they get squabbling. And Vardy looking back to his Williams days. There's been a bit of an incident at the back. Is that MX gone round? No, it's not. Just maybe some debris on the circuit. Davila trying to make it difficult for Vardy, but still can't get close enough. Waiting for that DRS, I'm sure, but we've got Vardy looking back to his Williams days. He goes a little bit wide through Copse, but he's going back to his Williams days, saving up that ERS early on so he can push the button and really charge. He's still got some good pace. He can just sit here at the moment. He's very calm and content. House doesn't want podiums. He doesn't care about podiums. He wants that race win and he wants that championship. He's hungry for it. To think when I first joined APP, he was merely a midfield runner at best after his transition to the wheel. And the progress in such a short amount of time to see him now a very much championship protagonist. Ace is at the fastest lap of the race, extending that gap at the front, but Paus is going to be relentless. DRS enabled this lap. Lap 3, of course, that drag reduction system. When you're within 1 second of the car in front, you get to open your rear wing in the specialized detection zones, and that's coming up right now. Is Paus going to push the button and try and get through? You can see the DRS zone is closing. He's got it open. Is he going to go for it? He doesn't look to be close enough, and he doesn't look to want to waste his energy at the moment as he chucks it through 1/10 quicker to the first sector. Paus definitely finding some more pace in himself. We've got to move towards the back. That is Max and S-Man going side by side. S-Man forced off the road by Max there. That's going to invite MX. They're going to be 3 abreast through Luffield. There's contact, and S-Man and Max are being sent round. What a shame for them two, but Max has managed to carry on going. I'm sure the stewards are going to have a look at that one, but shame for S-Man there. Just, it's not going to work. Well, it can work side by side through Luffield. Definitely can work, but I think under the circumstances, Max went a little bit too hot. And then, of course, just contact. I think S-Man just understeered a little bit into the side of him. It's a shame that it has to end that way, but as long as they get to the end, they'll have a higher starting position in race 2. Paus with an insane amount of closing speed on Aces there. Again, Ted needs to get past Scott, because at the moment Red Bull are looking pretty good in the championship fight with them, as well as Scott going to be losing some ground in the championship. Paus now with the fastest lap. DRS really helping him along. 27, I believe, 8 that was. But he's definitely got some pace in the back of that Ferrari. Really driving it on rails. Trying to find that bit more pace in himself. Get that good exit off the loop. That's what he needs. DRS open. Overtaken able potentially. No, not quite. So doesn't want to waste his DRS. And Vardy behind looking very strong. Davler as well. Making it awkward for Vardy. And Ted needs to get up there. He needs to help Vardy out, because the strategy can play a massive factor here. And if Ferrari can get an undercut and get Davler to push the button first and force Vardy's hand into an early stop, could be interesting. So Ted needs to help them out here. Really needs to help them out. Ted chasing after Scott. He needs to get himself into the top 5 quickly. At the moment, Vardy leading the way, but Paus only 1 point behind. This is as close as you can get. Scott falling a couple of points because he's only in P5. Needs to find that little bit more ground in himself, but still a very close grid. We've got MX getting up the inside of Tier into Stowe. Nice move. Breaks late, gets it done. Done and dusted, but Tier can fight back. A championship protagonist aiming for that P4 in the championship, but he's going to want to go for maybe one better. Back to the front side though. This is Paus going for the move into Abbey. A flat out corner down the inside, side by side. The 2 race leaders go. Ace is going to hang on just about, but this is going to open the door for Vardy to look up the inside of Village. He's not quite going to be able to seal the move though, and Paus hangs on for the time being. 7/10 still separates them. Paus is hungry as ever, and Aces wants this race win. DRS open as they hurdle down the hanger straight. Here comes Vardy though. He's closing. Davler looking in the backside to make the move. Here comes Vardy to the inside of Brooklands. Has a look, but doesn't go for it. That's going to open the door for Davler though. Down the inside, there's contact, and Davler's been sent round. Oh, calamity for Ferrari here in the Constructors' Championship. Vardy opened the door, come back onto the racing line, and Davler desperately tried to get the move done. And as an unfortunate chain of events, he just found himself getting spun round there. Big shame. Got to say, that's a racing incident. In my personal opinion, Vardy maybe could have left a bit more room. Davler was just coming in a bit too hot, too eager to get the move done maybe. But I'm sure the stewards might have a look at that one. That's definitely pressure off Vardy's shoulders to know that Davler is well and truly out of the running for this. But Paus wants to get in front. Who's going to win on Counterback Coast if it, in the insane event that it is a tie at the front? Paus, I know, is on 2. If he wins this one, will be 3. Ted finally getting past Scott as he peels his way in to the pit lane. Early stop, and Tier with a 5-second penalty. Going on to the mediums. Started on the mediums, and he knows that the softs can go long, so he wants to seal off this medium strategy pretty early on. But still front 3, very close indeed. Ted now into that prime position where he can help out his teammate and assist his teammate. Currently Paus 2 wins, Vardy only 1. Incredible consistency from both to be leading the championship with so little wins. Again, just shows how close it's been. Ace is a bit of a mistake through Brooklands, and that's going to hurt him through Luffield, but still very even. The top 3 in terms of distance, and incredibly close, all 3 of them. The Renault, Ferrari and Red Bull all chasing that win. Scott 2 wins, but would win on a podium countback. An interesting fact indeed. But Scott down in P8 might be something to look out for. But Palf's using his ERS to now charge after the Renault. He is closing at a rate of knots. Aces, it makes him defend. To the outside goes Palfs. He's going to try and set up the cutback. He's going to get a good run and maybe have a really good look into Vale, but he's going to follow them into the pit lane. All three of our race leaders into the pit lane, and Ted forced to stay out. Doesn't want to lose that time behind Vardy. So Ted now assumes the race lead. This is crucial time now. These pit stops for the teams are going to be incredible. Ferrari still leading the way, but Red Bull 2-2-4, 2-2-5, incredibly close championships. Ferrari into the pit lane. Yellow stripe medium tyres going on to that Ferrari. Good stop there. Has held Vardy in the pit lane. And they all come out assuming the same order. No change in terms of that. Then Ted going to be needing to maximise this out in lap, I should say. All saving penalty, all saving ERS, I should say. S-Man now settling in just in front of them all. And where is Scott? Maybe Scott's gone for an absolutely insane undercut. Exactly that. He's gotten in front of Vardy. And Scott is well and truly in the mix now. He's going for the move on Palfs around the outside, maybe down the inside of the loop. Palfs has lost quite a bit of time though to Aces in the pit stop phase. Vardy potentially held, and now Scott has gotten himself back into this championship fight. Palfs, I'm going to guess, leads the way. Here comes Scott though, down the inside. This is going to allow him to take the lead of the championship. What a crazy turn of events. Scott has found himself right in the mix of this now. So the three top championship protagonists currently settle 3 consecutive positions on the grid. Absolutely insane strategy call from the Mercedes boys. And this battling is only going to allow Aces to take off into the distance, but with that 3-second penalty of Scott, it could harm him. Ted now into the pit lane as they're hurdling their way through Maggots and Beckett's. Palfs needs to get through. He saved up a bit of ERS, so is Vardy. Scott a little bit less. And at DRS open for Palfs. He's got the overtake enabled, so is Vardy. They're closing down after that Mercedes, but just not enough into Stowe, so Palfs going to save his ERS. Bit of a grass cut in there from Scott, as he has to go half defensive in to Vale. Vardy lurking in the background again, going to wait for Palfs to initiate the move. But Palfs all over the back of Scott. He is hungry for this championship fight. Pit window open for the medium tyres. So an early stop from pretty much everyone. Tier with the fastest lap. Again, he's got a chance of the championship. Scott goes defensive. Palf's going to roll the car around the outside. It's going to be the inside for the loop if he can stick it there, but he's not quite going to go for it. He needs a good exit off of here. Vardy all over the back of him now. Palf's has got the DRS to defend with, but Scott is a little bit too far in front. So here comes Vardy up the inside of Brooklands. Palf's going to try and fight it around the outside. Vardy goes in a little bit too hot. So Palf's still going to try and fight it all the way to the end. But Vardy knows that Scott's closer on points and needs to get going. Maybe Vardy can use that ERS to assist Palfs and get him through as well. It's a championship fight, but Racecraft still comes into it. You need to work with each other, even though you are, in a sense, trying to beat each other as well. It's all about the long game now. Lap 8 of 13 in this Grand Prix. Vardy goes in a little bit too hot through there. That's not going to give him the best of exits and allows Scott to pull away. But not enough. He's breaking the toe bin on the inside. Vardy chasing him down though. Look at the closing speed. Nearly 200 miles an hour as he breaks for Stowe. Hurdling his way through. That's going to be a bit of a warning. Make sure he really exceeds it and slows down as to not pick himself up a warning. Palfs now putting the pressure on. Still all three of them so equal on pace. And you could not ask for a closer championship battle. All three have a chance of winning this one, but Ace is out in front now, a little bit more comfortable it seems. 1.5 seconds clear of Scott as they are all fighting. Vardy all over the back of Scott. Both lock up. I believe all three of them might have locked up into there. That's all I can ask for, is a bit of a better angle. But is Vardy closing enough? Yes, he is. Scott goes defensive. Here's Vardy to the outside. How committed can he be? Scott goes in a little bit too deep just to cover it off. That's going to allow Vardy to get the switcheroo maybe and then set him up even deeper into left field. But he had a look for a gap, but it was always going to close, and that's going to leave him vulnerable to Palfs. That is the thing with being in such a close train of cars, that being in P2, you have to attack, you have to defend, you have to be mindful of where you make your moves. Scott's so quick through Cobbs, so is Palfs. Vardy just isn't on it through there, it seems. That's going to lose him a lot of time. He needs to be committed through here. Palfs with a 3-second time penalty. So Vardy at the moment heads the championship fight as Scott picks himself up another one. and is now up to 6. But here comes Vardy. Paus with the front row seat. Yellow flags through sector 2. Not what we're interested in. Vardy around the outside. Scott can't quite keep it there. He's going to fight it all the way to the death of it. But Vardy is now through. Have to defend into Vale. Scott having a look. Paus really closing up under braking. But Vardy's through up into P2. And important for the championship fight now. This is absolutely intense. Incredible stuff, really. Scott, Paus, Vardy, in that exact order in the championship, find themselves in 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Their teammates nowhere to be seen. They've had their own little incidents. So it's now the championship protagonists left by themselves, no help. It's all down to them in these closing stages of the British Grand Prix. Of course, don't forget we have the Bahrain Grand Prix around the Bahrain short circuit. Bit of a wobble from Vardy. You saw coming off a left field. Those are mistakes that can cost you championships. Luckily for him, he's got a bit of a lucky break in that Scott made a bit of a mistake himself and he managed to catch it. They all head through Copse then for the 10th time. 3.5 laps of this sprint race remaining. And still no one knows who's going to come out leading the championship from this one. Aces, it seems comfortable for his 3rd victory in APP. Here comes Scott though. He's going to retake the lead of the championship field, it could be said, of the championship trio. Scott into P2. Vardy down to P3. Paus still not been able to close the gap and bridge it and get himself amongst this fight. But Scott now heads it. He's doing exactly what he can. 6 seconds, though, of course, is definitely going to be detrimental to his championship charge. Put him behind Paus at the moment and allow Vardy to increase the gap a little bit. Into the loop. Paus just needs a good launch. Gets on the power a little bit too early and just washes the car out, and that doesn't allow him to get the best of launches. Vardy now burned through most of his ERS as they head towards Brooklands. Paus really committed through Brooklands. There you can see closing a big gap, and then through Luffield really committed and just pins the car. So it's like on rails. Really closes the gap to Vardy. So the middle sector really strong for Paus. He is all over the back of the Red Bull and he needs to get through and hope that Vardy picks himself up a penalty. Paus knows that he's weak through Copse, but whether or not he can commit a move or not is another story, because into Max and Beckett's is very, very difficult to do. But he's chucking it through. He goes a little bit wide though. That's a big mistake from Vardy. It's going to invite Paus to get alongside him and maybe even get ahead as they run towards Stowe. Vardy's going to have to concede this position. So there's Paus back onto the podium and now chasing after Scott. Although after penalties it's not going to matter much. We're going to go back off the championship fight for just a moment because Ted is going around the outside of MX into Vale. Is he going to make the move stick? Yes, he is, helping Red Bull out, but a nice little switch back from the racing point is going to see him back up the inside. Jumps the curb though, similar to Alex Albon, but it's this time that Red Bull is on the outside. And in this case, he's got an illegal overtake, has to brake into there. That's going to allow the McLaren of Tir to really get involved and now make it maybe even 3 abreast towards Village. The Red Bull still on the outside. Ted really lost out after that one being pushed wide. As we're now on to the penultimate lap. Not too sure. Ted brake checking a little bit. I'm not sure if that was an intentional or not. I'm sure it was an illegal overtake. Tir now closing on the racing point. Looks to the inside. Can't quite convert. Scott nearly a second in front. And is a second in front and is chasing down after Aces now in these closing stages. 1.5 laps of this race remain. Aces seems to have controlled it from start to finish. Hasn't really been threatened since the lights. But Scott might be able to put an end to that. And is gunning for at least the on-track victory. Blitzing down the straight, nearly 200 miles an hour. Paus now in front, and that's cleanly in front. Vardy Not really much to do, so we'll go on board with this lovely little scrap going on here for P5. Bit of a lock-up from Ted through there, but MX goes in even deeper, so Ted looking for that inside, finds that inside, and MX is forced to give him the space. Bit of damage to the front left of his front wing, though, and that's going to be a shame. That's going to cost him a lot of lap time. But this battle in MX, squabbling with Ted, has allowed Ted to close, or actually accelerate forwards and get in front. And at 6th lap, old soft tyres still going to be very, very quick indeed, as we're on to the final lap of this race now, and the top 4 separated by virtually nothing. 1 second from Aces down at 2 Scott. He's chasing after him, using everything he's got in this final stage. Vardy all over the back of Paus, though, goes purple to the first sector, really on a charge now. The lightest fuel he's had all race. That car is going to be as nimble as ever. Tier with another 3-second time penalty. Scott now within DRS of Aces, though neither of them with much in the way of ERS. Could Scott maybe take the on-track victory? Really needs to hook up Cobbs, Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, though, if he wants any chance. Vardy looking all the way around the outside of Paus there, but just goes off the track and can't quite find the move. 1/10 between the two, though, could be a bit of another change of position. Ted with another 3-second time penalty. Scott just about hanging on to the DRS range, but he's just going to run out of time, I think. Here comes Vardy, though. He is closing on Paus. He's using all that ERS that he saved up. Pulls to the inside, down the inside of Stowe, but Paus around the outside. What a move from the Ferrari to hang on to P3, although it won't matter at the death of it. Actually, it still might be P3 because of Scott's penalty. So he's done all he can. Aces comes across the line. He wins the British Grand Prix from lights to flag. And Scott in P2 on the track. Vardy takes the P2 at the end of it, with Paus settling in to P4. In fact, maybe picked up another 3-second penalty. So Vardy, Scott and Paus look at the same order in the championship, just maybe 1 point extra between the two. So at the moment it's still Vardy that heads the way. Tier is looking a pretty long shot out of it now, I believe. But yeah, huge squabble for the championship. Ted could have gotten through and maybe gotten in front, but I believe Red Bull have just about outscored Ferrari. Pretty enthralling first race of the night then. As we can see, Aces taking his 3rd win in his APP Sprint Championship career. Hasn't won since Season 2, and for the final round of Season 3 takes it. They're going to be celebrating. So after the first race here at Silverstone, it's Aces that takes the win, with Vardy and Scott completing the podium. Paus P4 with MX in P5. Nice recovery drive from the Racing Point. Davide in P6 doing all he can to aid in the Constructors' Championship battle. Ted in P7 couldn't quite help out his teammate as much as he would have liked, and a bit of a squabble potentially cost him there. Tier in P8 with Max in P9. Kington P10, S-Man in P11, but don't go anywhere because we've got the reverse grid race in Bahrain short in just a few moments' time. Remember, of course, to like the stream. It does help out the channel, and subscribe, of course. Found out that Moosey hadn't actually subscribed to the channel for a while, and it ended up to be Pulse on her phone that ended up doing it. So don't be like Moosey and actually subscribe to the championship, to the channel. We are then getting ourselves ready for race number 2. 50% race distance around Bahrain short, still equates to around about 30 minutes of real time. So longer, slightly longer than usual. Should be around about 30 laps or so, I believe. 28 laps, 27 laps, something like that. For 50% race, and it's a very crucial race in that. Only a minute lap time, very short. Very hard to So now the updated Drivers' Championship standings are as follows. Sits with Vardy at the top, 130 points ahead of Scott with 128 and Palf's 126 points. 4 points covering the top three, the main top three protagonists. So Palf needs to beat Vardy by 4 positions. The best way he can do that is to take the win and hope that Vardy is further down the order. Scott needs to finish 2 places ahead of Vardy. And again, best way he can do that is to win and hope Vardy falls out of that. But Vardy definitely on the front foot coming in to Bahrain. Short, a track he's notoriously really good at. But don't forget, Palf's also really quick. So is Scott. All three have shown incredible speed in the previous seasons. So we'll just have to wait and see how it gets on. Expect DRS trains up and down and throughout the race tonight. Pretty much all you can expect to see, due to the very short but fast nature of the circuit. It's very easy to expend all your ERS. Still just waiting for F1 cars do go broom. Indeed they do. Not sure what the wait is. It seems like we've been sat in this loading screen for quite a while. Classic Codemasters, indeed. Not sure what the plan of action is. Seeing as the game has decided to give up are the words I was looking for. So going to set up another lobby, and we're going to just wait. And if you are just joining us, the final race of the season is going to get underway very shortly. But yeah, don't go anywhere just yet, because it is going to be. And Moosey's in. Wow, hello Moosey. F1 2022 will be out of this rate. Indeed it will. And as soon as Palfs leaves, of course it starts to load us in. We'll see. Codemasters just wants an anti-climax to the championship. They really do. Want to put a halt to all of our fun. But yeah, Sumo F1 22 will be out of this rate. It does come out in around about a week's time, I believe. Yeah, very new subscriber of Moosey has joined the channel. It's a pleasure to have you. And there is not enough players to start the session, which is no surprise, because we've just had to. He's on his new PS. Wow, it's a burden. It's cost us it. Aces vs Kings leads the championship. Then look at that. I'm just gonna wait for the new lobby then. Again, apologies for the wait, everyone. Not much that we actually can do. The servers are this broken on a 2021. I will riot, yeah. That is true, that is very true. We all should riot. That would be the best idea. Well, the longer we sit around, the longer those people are in my stream, the more watch time I get, so I'm not complaining at all whatsoever. Um, but no, yeah, finally got an invite, and here we go. We're getting ready. Probably press spectate, don't want to be racing, although that would be an interesting prospect. Really spice up the championship fight if I could get involved. Get between a couple of three people. Hopefully we can get underway pretty quickly. Here we are then, getting underway. I think the grid is now finally sorted. We are then loading in, ready for the final championship finale race. And this time we can get in smoothly. Here we are then, getting ready to go green for the formation lap. It's a Mercedes on pole. It's S-Man in pole position. We've got Kingdom alongside him on the front row. Max there ready to pounce, looking pretty strong, coming in at 2. Bahrain short tier in P4. Ted P5 and Davila in P6 with MX at P7 and Paus in P8. Scott P9 with championship leader Vardy in P10. Aces race winner of Silverstone rounds off the grid in P11. 29 laps then of the Bahrain short circuit, and it's going to be an enthralling, exhilarating and absolutely exciting 29 laps ahead of us. It's going to be particularly interesting, especially seeing as though 2 of the championship contenders' teammates are currently right next to each other. So Davila and Ted might look to spicing things up a little bit maybe, but Paus heads the way in terms of the championship fight. Needs to outscore Vardy by 4 points and needs to outscore Scott by 2, and if he can take the victory, will win on countback. If he does tie, so it's going to be a pretty interesting turn of events. We've got Grandad Bonkers. Max M, who's the fastest on the grid? Well, if we're going by most recent performance, it's going to be Aces because he won at the most recent race. We have got the reigning champion on the grid. Ted is on the grid. But at the moment, Vardy leads the championship, and in my opinion, definitely one of the most consistent and fast drivers we have. I've raced him myself, incredibly quick driver, but don't count Scott or Paus out either, because both of these guys have an incredibly good shot at the title. Grandad Bonkers may be witnessing his son go for the title. Best he can do is take the win. It's all any driver can do. At least then he knows he left nothing on the table. As we get ready now, this is it, the final race of season number 3, the final race of F1 2020 for APPF1. The Bahrain Short Grand Prix is underway and racing, and it's a great start from the AlphaTauri. He's already put alongside the Mercedes now as we head towards turn 1. Kington looking to retake that race lead now down in towards turn 1. The Ferrari on the inside, Davila trying to make up positions. There's Tier on the inside, the Mercedes, and that is MX at the backside of the grid. He's had an absolutely appalling start now as they all funnel their way through into turn 4. That's Davila and Ted running side by side. Scott's had a great start, already up 2 places. Paus not with the best of starts, already down into P10, but here's Vardy now into P9, up 1 position. He's going side by side with Aces versus Kings, then into this fast left hand. He's just got to keep it committed, but he goes in too deep and he's going to lose the position to Paus, who wants to get involved with Aces. Absolutely chaotic start then in Bahrain. Max has lost a position to S-Man, but wants to maybe pick his pace up a little bit, find his feet and settle into a rhythm. Doesn't want to waste that ERS though. It's so important around here, as we've got Evil Mum Lady in the stream as well. Pleasure to have you both. As we've got Paus and Vardy going side by side around the final corner. 2 championship protagonists couldn't ask for a closer fight. Paus on the outside as they hurtle the way down on to lap 2, but it doesn't look as though Paus is going to fight this one too hardly. Vardy with some incredible pace around this circuit, and at the moment Scott is looking like he is absolutely flying. 3 abreast through turn 1 and into turn 2 go Max, Davila and Ted. Davila dying to the inside of turn 4, but that's not somewhere you can really get a move done, because Max has just shown you keep your footing around the outside, and that is a nice move to hang on to what is P4 at the moment. But here's Davila looking to get up the inside, looking for it. Ted looking in the background, going for the outside. Yellow flags to sector 2. Something has happened. There has been a bit of a kerfuffle at the backside, and that's Tieran Kington. The race leader has been sent round in the AlphaTauri, and he's collected Tier with him, so Max inherits the race lead, but he's got S-Man breathing down the side of him. Davila's lost out to S-Man because of it as well. Very close fight then as they all funnel their way through. A very long DRS train in store. Ted looking to get past Davila, just couldn't quite find the space as we head on to lap number 3. DRS to be enabled this lap. Davila pulling to the inside of S-Man. Max having to go defensive. Could we see some potentially 3 wide moments here? The AlphaTauri on the inside. Davila pulling to the inside. Going to try and go for the double overtake, but he can't quite pull it off. So Max defends from S-Man for the race lead. The Ferrari gets a nice little switchback. The outside for turn 2 quickly becomes the inside for turn 3 and 4. And he's managed to seal the deal, get himself into the top 2. And Ted follows him through. Tries to get up the inside of S-Man and get himself onto the podium. It's going to be the outside. Scott looking to get involved as well. His teammate doing wonders for him in this championship fight as he looks to propel himself up the grid. Looks to the inside for his teammate. He's got Vardy breathing down his neck though. Paus a few positions back. As it stands, Scott is tied with Vardy in the championship lead. The 2 Mercedes very neck and toe, and that's Vardy very much off the circuit and losing ground here. Bit of an uncharacteristic mistake there from Vardy, as we've just tipped him to be an incredible and most consistent driver on the grid. Something must have definitely happened, but there's so much action going on, it's hard to cover it all. Very deep goes Tier. The McLaren is going to invite Paus to get up the inside of him, and now this is crucial for Paus, who is pulling himself into the pit lane for a new front wing. I'm going to guess that looks like damage to the front wing as Davila gets himself into the lead of the race, gives Max a chance to save some ERS crucially. MX getting past, Vardy now getting involved. But going wide into turn 4 leaves the door open on the inside and could leave you susceptible to attack. Vardy now trying to close the gap to MX, because at the moment Scott is leading the championship and will take the win of the championship. As they all funnel their way through turn 5. Vardy looking pretty strong. He's always had good pace around Bahrain short, but he just needs to find his way through the traffic, and that is exactly what Scott's doing, and he's doing such a good, incredible job of it. S-Man being more of a roadblock now as Max finds himself getting overtaken by the Red Bull into the final corner, looking around the outside, keeps his footing. Good effort from the youngster, but in the end of it, just allows Ted to pull away. Davila then with the fastest lap, stretching his legs at the front, doing all he can for Ferrari in the championship fight. Max coming back at Ted though to the outside, soars past him, and this is all inviting Scott to gain maybe a couple more places as Vardy gets up the inside, goes in a little bit too deep and locks up. But S-Man again just not going to fight this one. So Vardy now right behind Scott. Off the track goes Vardy again though, could leave him susceptible to a counter attack with the DRS. And the death of it, Ted now coming back at Max. Can't quite get it. Max fighting this one really hardly, and they've lost DRS to Davila. Ace is getting involved. There's a bit of a scrap going on here. S-Man going down a couple of positions as well. Unfortunately, he has lost a lot of positions in the recent couple of corners. But still extremely close. Anyone could gain anything at any time. Max now susceptible to an attack, running low on ERS. You can tell by the blinking red light on the back of that AlphaTauri, and same with Ted, also low, but Scott has got an absolute truckload of it. He soars up the inside of Max to get himself back into the championship winning position that he so desperately needs, but Max is not going to fight it. Well, he is going to fight it. He's not going to let it up easy. Back up the inside of turn number 2, and the outside of turn 3 quickly turns to the outside of turn 4, but he was ahead and it didn't matter too much. Here is Scott though, he's coming right back at him. Max low on ERS, but Scott knows that if he goes for it, he'll just be left to dry on the main straight. Kington in to the pit lane, second driver in this race to make a stop. Now heading towards turn A, bit wide from Scott, a little bit shaky now as he's looking down the inside of the final corner. Could leave him susceptible to an attack down this back straight, but he's got the move done. Max looking around the outside, tries to fight it. Not the best racecraft from Max, but he's definitely got the fighting spirit inside him. Hurtling down this straight, then he's got the DRS, so has Max. Max not with a lot of ERS to use, he's using everything he's got left at his disposal. Looks to the inside, is going to lick it, stick it, send it under brakes and gets it stopped. But Scott around the outside, what a race this has turned into. The AlphaTauri though gets a little bit squirmy on the exit. Looks again to the outside. This fighting's only losing him time, but it looks as though Scott has got that move done and dusted and is up into P3. Now Max just needs to save a little bit of ERS. Maybe can see him close the gap. That is Palv's a 109, 1 dead. 1 dead at 0.9, I should say. And 1.5 seconds at the moment off the lap record of APP. Ted 2.5 seconds ish off Davila, closing up towards 3 seconds. Davila leads the way, but Scott closing in on Ted just to try and bridge that gap a little bit more. Vardy needs to find a bit more in himself though. Long haul back for Paus indeed, but he's got some great pace. How's he getting on in terms of ERS? He is comfortable at the moment. He's strapped on the softs. He's going to hope for a safety car maybe to bring him right back into contention. Scott needs this position, but Ted is going to fight it to the death just to hope that Vardy closes up a little bit more. Vardy needs to get through on Max. Here comes Scott closing in on Ted. Vardy needs to get through. Max is going to fight this one very, very harshly that we've seen. Scott 146, Vardy 146. Scott with more wins this season will win on countback. MX putting the pressure on Vardy as well though. That could be something to look out for. Ace is now breathing down his neck and the fight for P6 well and truly on. Here comes Aces in the Renault, looking to the inside, breaks nice and late. Bit of a lockup, goes in a little bit too deep. That's going to invite the Racing Point to have another look at him. Gets a good exit, but the ERS is going to let him down here. Here comes Vardy though, back up into the championship lead and 1 place behind Scott. Scott now needs to get through as quickly as he can on the Red Bull, who's going to defend this P2 for his life. Yellow flags through sector 2. It looks as though is that S-Man has had a spin. Indeed it is, he's had a spin. No safety car at this time, but DRS once again open for the Mercedes. They all hurdle their way down and is looking to the inside, tucks back in though, can't find a gap to get through. Vardy 1.4 seconds behind this. Ted is doing his best to help his teammate catch up, because if Scott gets through again back into that championship winning position, Vardy is just playing it's cat and mouse at this point. Vardy's trying to chase him. Scott needs to get through as quickly as he can though. How quickly can he get through? Ted clabbers that curb, and that's going to really hinder his exit. And of course a little bit lower on ERS compared to Scott, who's pushed the button. He's now hurdling towards him in the slipstream, pulls to the inside. The Red Bull can't fight this one too hardly, and ahead goes Scott back into the championship lead. And the question ponders, will Red Bull instate team orders to promote Vardy back into that championship winning position? Scott surrounded by his championship rivals teammates. Again, another yellow flag through sector 1 and 2. S-Man retired from the session. Is that a safety car? Yes, it is. And this has thrown the whole race into turmoil. Paus is now back into the championship fight. And who is going to come in to the pit lane on this lap? Mediums definitely could get to the end. I'm going to guess everyone's coming in for mediums. Except for MX and Aces, though. That's the problem they had to... That's the risk they took. An early safety car could prevent them from having a good strategy in this race. Who's coming into the pit lane then? Davila, you coming in? Indeed, he is. Takes the free pit stop. Of course, everyone going slowly under safety car. You lose a lot less time from coming in. So it's effectively a free stop. Scott also in. Ted also in. Don't want to take any risks. Nice and slow into the pit lane. Vardy in as well. Max in. MX, Aces, Tier, Kington. It's Palf's going to come in though. We've got a long wait for Palf's. But this is a very trafficked pit lane. Vardy's had to wait for his teammate. He's been double stacked and has lost out tremendously here as Scott straps on the mediums. Aces straps on the softs. Interesting strategy from these guys then. But Vardy, he's come out in P9 and he had to get a new front wing. He's lost so much time in this pit stop phase as Palfs is now finding his way into the pit lane. So Scott comes out P2 on the medium tyres, looking punching. This is looking very, very good for the Mercedes driver. Ghost, what do you think? What do you everyone think? What do they think? Who's going to come out on top tonight? Vardy, yeah, his teammate being ahead of him has really cost him here, but he's on the medium. Same strategy to Scott. Medium's definitely comfortably to the end, I would say. Hard, maybe you can push a little bit more. Palfs coming out in P10. Needs to catch up to the safety car queue. But nonetheless, going to be an extremely interesting fight. Ted's going to try and put the pressure on Scott. Davila's going to bunch everyone up to allow Palfs to catch up. But now Scott has been left by himself in this championship fight. He's got no one to at least assist him. Yeah, Ted probably would have thought it was best to let him through there, but the safety car couldn't overtake. So Davila weaving around now, trying to get some heat into those tyres as we wait for Palfs to join the back of the safety car queue. Palfs needs to get a shift on though, he needs to catch up to the safety car. Pit window now open for medium, so those on the hards, yeah, they've maybe gone for the wrong choice here. Scott's looking good. Vardy's looking good to cut his way through the field. Palfs needs to hope that he can maybe stick with him. He's the one on the back foot coming into this race. Palfs' best bet is that he takes the win. Hopes that everyone else falls behind him. Tier with a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. So must have gone for an overtake or something there. That is MX into the wall and very much desinking. Safety car in this lap though. Palfs has caught up and that allows Davila to take the reins of the field. He controls the pace. He's backing everyone up. Warming up his tyres. You can see weaving around like a little snake to try and get that extra temperature back into those tyres to make them that extra little bit more grippy. As MX picks up a 5-second penalty for a collision with Aces. Ferrari 257, Red Bull 253. This championship fight is coming down to the death of it. Both drivers and constructors. 18 laps left of the APPF1 Season 3 Championship when we go green once again off the safety car. A great restart from Davila, but Scott is going to be breathing down his neck. He's got medium tyres on and strapped on, and they're going to be extremely quick, especially to warm up. Here comes MX putting the pressure on Max, who currently sits P4. Racing Point to the inside. The Renault behind trying to find his way through, but Max brakes extremely late, gets his way through. Very nicely done. Vardy already making progress up the inside of Kington, gets the move done, and these medium tyres need to start working for him. There's MX back up the inside of Max, and he's driven past him and up into P4. Ted not being able to put the pressure on Scott early doors. Palfs needs to start making some moves. He is making some moves on Kington, who's going to leave him to dry around the outside. Absolute calamity for Palfs' championship chances here. But he's managed to just about get through. A stellar move around the outside for Palfs. What an absolute courageous move there. Very well done for him. Now needs to start get pushing after Vardy, because at the moment Scott is very much in control of the championship. Vardy is chasing after him now. 2 laps on. Davila leads lap 1. Aces now lining up to overtake Max. These soft tyres should be extra grippy, should be extra quick. The Silverstone race winner now finds himself battling for P5, but around the outside goes Max. Bit of contact between the two, but he's just about going to hang on. What a fight this is turning out to be. Ace is back up the inside, dives it, locks up, but Max keeps his foot in around the outside, going to try and get the drive off the corner, but not quite going to be able to do that, and that could leave him susceptible. He's lost his rhythm, he's lost his momentum. The McLaren now looking in the background. Max pulling to the inside, back up the inside, off and on a compromised line, and that's allowed the McLaren to get a nice little switchback. Will be the outside for turn number 7, though, unfortunately. That's not going to allow him to get through. Vardy not making the most of these medium tyres, it must be said. Powell's not being able to close the gap either, but here comes Vardy. Tier looking to get past Max. Vardy needs to get through on 4 cars at the very least. In fact, he needs to get through on his teammate as well. Here comes Tier up the inside. DRS enabled then on this lap. Drag reduction system is re-enabled. Lap 15 of 29. 3 laps after the safety car restart. Max now down another position as Tier clears and gets through. Goes in a little bit too deep, goes the AlphaTauri, trying to hang on to it. Cuts across the grass. Does a bit of grass cutting. That's a free position for Vardy. And it now brings Paus into the DRS of this DRS train. Is Scott now lining up a move? He's got the DRS to aid him. He's got those fresh medium tyres that are going to be extra quick, extra grippy, extra quick. And it could be some incredible racing on show. How much is Davila going to fight this one? And that is yellow flags. Who is that off in the gravel? That's Kington off and retired from the session. Surely not another safety car. Potentially could be though, and I think he's just given up with this one. So no safety car. MX has left the session. He's lagged out. MX is out of this session. That's another free position for Vardy, who's starting to pick them off now. Back at the front is Scott going for a move. He's enabled DRS. He's enabled overtake. He's looking to the inside, but not quite going to go for it as they both lock up into turn 1. Vardy picking off another position up the inside. Goes a bit too deep though. Tier back up the inside. Promotes him in. And McLaren leaves him around the outside inside for turn 3. Vardy though keeps his foot in. Gets the momentum around the outside. Very nicely done. Paus still lurking in the background though, trying to find a way through. But Scott on the back of Davila. Got him for that race lead, but doesn't want to go for any harsh judgments just yet, because at the moment he's still leading at the championship and will be crowned your season 3 drivers champion. If he can hang on. Paus has gotten through on Max and is now chasing after Aces. Gets past Ted and up into the podium places. And I think this is Ted waiting up to allow Vardy another position maybe. Or is battling with Aces to help Vardy. Something is going on here. Not too sure why the Red Bull would just peel over like that. Scott's still unable to find a way through on Davila. Bit shaky from Ted. Allowing his teammate to bridge the gap ever so slightly. But Vardy needs to get pushing. Aces, another stop is probably due unless he can stretch those tyres all the way to the end. Max and Paus having a bit of a squabble. Pulls to the inside, goes to Ferrari. This is the best he can do at the moment. He needs to find a bit more pace. And Max needs to stop fighting this so hard. Around the outside he goes. He's hanging on to this position as much as he can. Gets a nice little switchback. The outside for turn number 7. But that is understeer central. He goes off the track. Bit shaky. Dives back up the inside. Goes Max. What a move. If that would have worked. Bit of half-hearted defending from Paus there. Just about to hang on. But whether that was an intentional move or not from Max, he just about got that stopped. Davila though having to conserve ERS. And that's music to Scott's ears knowing that. He now knows he's vulnerable. He's chasing down his prey. The Mercedes lurking, waiting for his opportunity. If Scott can win the championship and do it so with a race of victory, that's probably the perfect way to seal off season number 3. 4/10 is the gap, the closest battle on track at the moment. Vardy closing on to his teammate, who's probably not going to make this one too difficult for him. And with Aces needing it to pit again, and if Vardy can get through, that's going to promote Vardy just behind Scott. So Scott ideally should be able to get through on Davila, and that would definitely aid him. but they've got Aces charging after him. Davila pulling to the inside. Overtake enabled for Scott. Trying to break the toe is the Ferrari, but here comes Scott. Absolutely flying then. His previous team of Ferrari. He pulls to the inside, gets up the inside, and that is him cleanly into the race lead. Not too hard fought by Davila, who can now sit in the DRS maybe and conserve. But Scott well in control of this championship fight. Vardy closing in on his teammate. Is showing some pretty good pace so far. And needs to start picking off some more positions if he wants this championship. Surely can't be another season in the shadows, in the runner-up. They always remember the champion. They never remember the runner-up. Doesn't matter how close the championship was. It's always the champion that gets the glory. Davila all over the back of Scott. Managed to stay with him so far. And is using the ERS a little bit just to stay with him. And are we going to see a driver swap between the two Red Bulls? Multi-21 it seems. Yes it is. Vardy clears his teammate up the inside. And that's not definitely going to be too hard fought by Ted, who clearly allows him through. Now they can start setting their eyes on Aces in front. A little bit too deep goes Vardy though. So at the moment, if I am correct, it is Scott that leads the way. With Vardy close behind him. Paus, hate to say it, very much out of this running for the championship at the moment. It's going to take a miracle in these next 9 and a bit laps. Vardy chasing after Aces. The best he can do is get past Aces. Just about hanging on to the back of Scott, but not quite enough. So gaps have spread out a little bit now. Pretty nothing much to talk about in the way of battles, but certainly been an enthralling season. A very tough season. Obviously the shorter characteristic of it, only 4 rounds, 8 races to have taken place. It's definitely added to the fun, to the intensity, to the pressure of the drivers. As Paus is now closing up to tier to try and steal maybe P6. Regardless of what happens, it will be Paus taking at least 3rd in the championship. Who knows though, never say never. Could be a safety car, could be anything that happens at any point. Paus looking to the inside, can't quite get it though. But he's sent here in deep, pretty nice mistake in the eyes of Paus for him to make. And he is closing. He's trying to close up as much as he possibly can. Ace is now on the back of Davila, putting that pressure on. How much longer can Aces go is the question. He's still looking pretty good on those softs, and with around about 7 laps left of this race remaining, could still be looking pretty strong. Maybe to finish the race on those tyres would be pretty remarkable if he did. From the DRS though, here comes Paus. He's closing at a rate of knots on the McLaren, looking all over the rear end of him, pulls to the inside, and that's at 1 extra point heading the Ferrari's way. Down into turn 1, gets the move done. Pretty comfortable for the Ferrari as he sets his sights on Ted in front, who's really struggling for pace. And Paus, don't count him out. Don't ever count Paus out. From absolutely anything, completely even are Davila and Aces when it comes to ERS. Ace is still going strong on these soft compound tyres, despite realistically they should be going off around about now or in a couple of laps time. He's still going strong, he's driving well. DRS open as he bids to close the gap between himself and Davila. Doesn't look like he's intending on pitting anytime soon. So it's all down to Vardy to chase after these two. He needs 2 more positions in order to seal the deal for the championship. This will be Scott's 3rd win of the season, if he can bring it home. Of course, 3 wins of 8, definitely not bad at all. Ace is still there, closing on him. He's managed to save a little bit of ERS, and I'm sure he's going to be planning to expend all of that down this back straight in a few moments' time. Vardy 3 seconds back, though, 3 seconds off his championship. That's how he's going to look at it, 3 seconds away from a championship. And here comes Aces, darting towards the Ferrari, looks to the inside, thinks better of it. Doesn't commit fully to the brakes, but just goes to show how close he is and how strong he looks on those soft tyres compared to Davila, who seems to be struggling on those hards, although has closed the gap slightly to Scott. Both seem to be struggling in terms of ERS, the energy recovery system. Extra 160 brake horsepower at a push of a button, double that of your ordinary road car, and at the push of a button as well. Not too bad for these Formula 1 cars. And this is trying his best to push after the Ferrari, both having to conserve though. And Vardy now only 3 seconds away. He is pushing for this championship, needs to take both of these guys if he wants to win it and not finish in the shadows. Dramatic end to the season. Season 3 is coming to a close. 26 of 29 for the final round of the race, for the season, sorry. And here comes Aces looking to the inside of Davila again. He needs to take a couple of laps, maybe save some ERS, but Scott struggling now on these medium tyres, as these hard tyres may be starting to come to their own compared to the mediums. It seems as though Scott, yeah, he's pushing as hard as he can, wearing out that ERS, but just Davila's still closing away bit by bit, and I think that's what Aces is waiting for. I think he knows they're catching, so doesn't want to go for anything and lose them that time, as Palf's now starting to eye up and move on Ted potentially. That'll only aid them in the championship, in the Constructors' Championship. Allow them to secure it at the moment. As we come on to lap 27 of 29. DRS open for Aces once again. Paus with a little bit more ERS than that of Ted. They use it at very equal times, both struggling when it comes to ERS. I think everyone's worn thin after the DRS trends have sort of dissipated, but Ted goes defensive to the middle of the track. Palvs to the outside. How late can he brake? He brakes later than Ted. Not late enough though, and has to settle in behind him for P6 at the moment. Not done just quite yet. A bit of a mistake up in front between of Aces, and he's lost out quite a bit of time and out of the DRS range of Davila. He's now just about calling back in. 2.1 seconds back is Vardy. Pal's closing on Ted. The best he can do now is settle in for third in the championship, I'm going to presume, which is a shame. He definitely had the pace too, but that early skirmish has definitely cost him in this race. He's lost a lot of time. He's got tear also breathing down his neck as we come on to the penultimate lap of Season 3. Defensive goes Ted. Palps is a lot closer this time. He goes much more defensive, but Palps tucks in that little bit later, pulls out that little bit later, and comes around the outside. He does like this move. Ted a little bit swamped on the curb. Tear nearly had a look coming towards turn 2, but Palps has got that move done and ahead of the Red Bull. Now splitting the two Red Bulls is the Ferrari as they progress towards the Constructors' Championship. will be the first Constructors' Championship Vardy has never won if it stays this way, as Vardy picks himself up a 3-second time penalty, only adding salt to the wound, and Scott has absolutely bossed this race from the back of the grid, got into the lead early, and that safety car restart really helped him. But Davila is closing the gap, both struggling on ERS as we come on to the final lap of this Bahrain Grand Prix, the final lap of Season 3. And it comes down to the wire. Vardy all over the back of Aces, needs to get through if he wants to tie the championship. At best, that's what you can do, and he'll still lose on cutback unless something dramatic happens between the top two. It looks as though Scott just needs to cruise around. Only a few more corners and he'll seal his maiden championship victory for the APPF1 sprint. As Vardy gets his way through, up the inside he goes on Aces and up into P3. That's enough to tie the championship. Remember, he's got a penalty, and regardless, Scott has more victories, and he's going to add one more to his tally as he exits the penultimate corner. Hurdles his way towards the final corner. Davila has thrown everything at him today on these hard tyres that have just come into their own a little bit too late. Scott rounds the final corner. He's going to win the final race of Season 3. He crosses the line. He is your APPF1 Season 3 champion. Davila comes across in P2. Aces P3 after Vardy in P4, and that's going to be another season in the sidelines for Vardy. If he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck. Very deserved for Scott though. Paus in P5 seals third in the Drivers' Championship. I believe it Ghost, correct me if I'm wrong, Ferrari also seal off the Constructors' Championship as well. But Scott dancing on the podium, he wins the final round of a season. That is something in itself. But he leaves Bahrain heading into the new game as reigning champion. He's dealt so well with the pressure tonight and over the course of the season. Only 8 races. It's a shorter season, could argue. Not much of a championship, but it just adds to that intensity. Makes every round count that little bit more. And with 3 wins of 8, Scott very deserved the champion tonight. It was in fact tied as they crossed the line, but Vardy got a penalty. But Scott, your champion, wins the final race of the season. Ferrari and Davila in P2, Aces in P3, with Vardy P4. Another year, another season in the sidelines, with Paus in P5, Ted P6 with Tier P7, and Max rounding in P8. MX P9 after lagging out midway through the race, with Kington and S-Man rounding off the grid, P10 and 11. That is very true. Fastest lap could have decided the championship. Sorry, your comments didn't load, in fact, on the stream, but it was in fact Paus that took the fastest lap. So Scott 148, Vardy 147, Paus 143. 1 point separating the championship win between Scott, Vardy and Paus, rounding off in P3, his best championship position yet. And Ferrari sealed the deal, 7 points clear of Red Bull in the Constructors. What a season it's been. And I cannot wait for more in the new game. This has been APPF1. I've been Zach Sweeney, your commentator for the last 3 seasons. And we'll be heading in to Season 4. Big thank you to the sponsor of TC Focus. Definitely go ahead and check him out on Instagram. Great car photographer specialising in classic cars. And of course, a big thank you to everyone who puts in their time for APPF1. Ghost for being the stat man, Paus and all the stewards and all the admins for putting the time in to make sure we can go racing, and gives me something to watch and progress in my commentary journey. But nonetheless, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been APPF1. I've been Zach Sweeney, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.